Welcome into episode 112 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, host Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins.
Oh, hi.
Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We're a podcast by collectors for collectors. Hoping to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On YouTube, Periscope, Facebook Live. Follow us on Twitter About the Cards. We'll be able to podcast pretty much everywhere. Check out our website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Guys, we have a very special guest coming back, James Good from at Run Good Life. You probably follow him on YouTube and Twitter. If not, you need to just set up a new Insta page for cards. He's like almost 3,500 subs on YouTube, and he's kind of exploded there and putting out 4 or 5 videos a week. Opened a lot of basketball and somebody hooked him up with some flashback. Finest flashback he did all right with. So welcome, James. How you doing tonight, bud?
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. No, I'm not gonna do that. It is great to be back. My home the host has muted me. Great. Is that a new record is that a new record? I made it.
No, we've muted Steph like instantly, and Ben. We've actually kicked Ben right out. So
perfect. No, it's great to be back. I love you guys. Some of my favorite people in the hobby. So anytime I can come on and chop it up, I can't turn it down.
Sure. Also, I've been consuming your videos daily. It's one of a few channels I look and go, okay, hey, there's a new video. I'm watching that right now, and it goes up. So last time we talked, you just pulled that Prism Black Zion 1 of 1 and went down to Dallas, had it graded, and that's kind of what you said started your YouTube channel. And now all of a sudden, you're like 3,500 subs. I love my favorite video I think you've done is where you pretended to do a Phil's Pulls one and you like totally stole all of his music and everything. I loved it. That was awesome.
Misappropriated,
borrowed. So what's it been like for you? Like the YouTube fame and all that stuff. How's that like? What's that been like? And what do you have planned going forward?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I never, going back to last November when I had these ideas, and I think it really started around Prism Draft release last year. Like I was driving around and I thought it was fun to go on Instagram and, post stories for my friends, showing them all the places I was going, what I was doing. A lot of my friends who aren't in the hobby had no idea about cards. And I'm like kicking the tires around. I'm like, well, I have this YouTube page that I upload, live music videos, and I used to do documentaries whenever we went on tour. So follow bands around and stuff like that. I was kicking the tires about starting a YouTube thing back up, or maybe doing some breaking down the line. Like I want to get some practice, so just set up my iPhone in front of me, and I just start opening product on my desk. And then I hit that Zion 101, and after that, it kind of became a chasing the dragon kind of moment, if you will. Like I know that I'll never have that moment in the hobby again, and if I do, it's a 1 in a billion chance, just to hit a card like that, like a product hit. And so that really kind of launched like the almost addiction at first to wanting to do videos and not wanting to bust. I don't think I've busted a single thing off camera since then, just because it's more entertaining for me to talk through it as I'm opening it. Like that's how I enjoy cards now. Like I've recorded so many videos that I just haven't uploaded yet because I just enjoy that. And maybe those will make it to the channel sometimes. Maybe I'll just get bored and like bulk upload them for people who want to watch it. But yeah, it's been crazy. Like the growth during some of the basketball series when I did Optic and Mosaic, that's when I saw like my biggest growth. I'm doing Chronicles now, and I just uploaded like 4 or 5 videos this week of just Chronicles, and I'm seeing that exact same growth pattern. So for me, I realized like I like to bust or before this basketball season, I like to bust baseball way more than basketball. But basketball is by far the most popular sport when it comes to ripping. So maybe I'm turning into a basketball channel, but it's been fun to manage, and then I decided, I need an Instagram dedicated to just cards. And there were like little things I wanted to do, like hobby takes that I can't really put into a YouTube video or something like that, or it wasn't big enough to be a YouTube video. So I've been doing a lot of content over on the Instagram page as well, and trying to spin that up to be at the same growth as my YouTube channel.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have checked out the videos. I mean, I love the intro. First of all, your logo's legit. I'm a big logo snob.
Yep.
And the R of Run Good Life, like the way that looks, it has like a very Vice City look to it.
Yep.
1980s Miami. It's kind of like the Heat throwback jerseys, those city jerseys, whatever they have. I love it. So.
Yeah, that's kind of my jam. I love those 80s neon colors, and I listen to a whole lot of like synthwave, which is like this arcade culture 80s. It's almost like blurs the lines between like techno and like EDM or whatever they're doing now. So I just really wanted to incorporate that. I think it's just really easy to kind of get into that vibe. So I try to incorporate some of that into what I do.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I appreciate, whenever those pop up, and check out those YouTube page. So in one of the videos that you posted this week, you talked about a confrontation in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And so you didn't want to talk about it during the video. And I was like, okay, but he's going to be on the show tonight. And so I was like in the middle of work, but I stopped, pull up the show notes, and I just type in parking lot on the show notes under, having James on. And so I want to talk about like what happened, like, were there fisticuffs where, did it go viral, or are you, what's that video that's like the star, I don't remember. It's famous star or whatever.
Again?
What's up?
Were you messing with Stubbs bottles again?
No. World Star. Like a World Star video. Yeah.
No. So nothing like that. So the story goes, I know that our Walmart, which is a couple miles from my house, gets restocked pretty consistently, same day every week. And it just happens to be the time I get off work. So get off work, and I drive the 2 miles, and sure enough, the vendors there restocking. Sure enough, I see, Chronicles is out. I see Chrome is out. And he's stocking some other stuff, some Series 2. So I have a seat at the Subway, which is just like 50 feet away, and I'm not going to bother this dude. I'm just going to let him finish. I'm not going to stand there over his shoulder or anything dumb like that. And he finishes, he takes his little cart and he walks off. So I take my little hand basket and, I take all of the Chronicles and I take the Topps Chrome for my buddies. And that's unfortunately the hobby that we're in right now, where, I would much rather buy 3 or 4 hobby boxes, but Panini decided that the hobby boxes were going to be $900 this year instead of $125. So, I mean, I would rather put, $500 into hobby boxes, but if I can't get my fix, and I know there's a very good chance that whoever comes in next could just be flipping, and I live in a small town, like, I'm just going to, buy what I want. So I grab everything, and I grab a couple other things in the store. I go to, I think it was very close. I didn't like walk off, to the grocery section. I think I just grabbed like a soda and like a beef jerky or something. I go in, I'm standing in line, and this dude, like mid 40s, probably like looked like a construction worker, could clearly kick my ass. He comes in and he screams, I don't know if I can say profanity on this show, but like,
yeah, please.
Hey. He's like, hey, you fuck, like really, really loud. Like everybody's looking, like he's clearly directed at me. I turn around, I'm like, okay, I know, I already know what it is. Like I already know, like maybe he like talked to the vendor or something who was like walking towards the back. Maybe he had been here. I don't know. I'd only been there for a few minutes. And he's like, are you just going to sell them on eBay? What are you going to do? Are you just going to sell them on eBay? And I'm like, no, I'm a YouTuber. He's like, oh, that's even like, he's like really getting into it with me. And so I just like calmly, I'm like, what do you want? And he's like, what do you mean? What do I want? And I'm like, what do you want out of my basket? Like, I'm a fair guy. Like, I'm not just going to tell this guy, hey, sorry, suck it. Like, and he's like, I just want one of each, bro. I'm like, take it. Just take it. And he's like looking at me like I'm like not being on it. I'm like, just here. Like, I started to hand him something. He just took it and he like walked off and he's like, you should know better. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I pay for my stuff. He goes to like self-check or whatever. Like, and this whole thing is awkward. Like it's taking place. Like people are looking like people are looking at me like I'm a bad guy. And like, this is the Walmart that I shop at a couple times a week. I get some groceries at, so I leave the store and he's, sitting there, in the parking lot and he's just more profanity. Just like, no, I bet you are going to sell some of those. Nobody's going to open. You're not going to fucking open all those. And like, yeah, so it was really awkward. It really left a sour taste in my mouth. And as I was editing those videos, I opened some that night and then I wanted to get the videos up quick because it's a hot product. As I was editing some of those, I'm like, man, I just don't want to include a story in here about this, or I don't want to talk about this. Like, I was really salty about it. Like, it was just awkward. So that's the story. You know, I didn't get punched in the face, thankfully. But when the dude came up to me first, like, I honestly thought that there was a chance I was going to be showing up to About the Cards with a black eye for some basketball cards.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, it's gotten to a point, guys. It's gotten to that point where like I don't even look anymore because it's going to be wiped out. And it's just really sad that, it doesn't matter what sport I think it is anymore, that people are just like, and like, it is what it is. And I don't have a problem if someone does it, but I can't believe what's happening. And you're right with the prices of Chronicles. The pre-order price on one of those boxes, to give you a heads up, was less than $100.
Yep.
If you had, you were able to do that through like a distributor or whatever. And then the fact that it's a product selling over $900 for a hobby box, I just looked through distributors and they have it available at another warehouse, but now the price is $870 a box if you want to do a second rebuy.
And I mean, this was a product that around the time Mosaic was out, and Mosaic was super hot, and I think everybody knew that Mosaic was going to be hot out of the gates. But it was like, well, Chronicles last year, it was fun, and it's just like, it's never seen in the same light as like Optic or Prism at all. So I was like, I'm going to do a little on the channel. I'm going to do a hobby box or two, but I'm not going to go out the way I did with all the other Chromium sets.
Yeah.
And then the artificial scarcity that, not the scarcity, but more like the, inflated value, Panini did a really great job hyping this product, and it was going to be hot anyways. But once they designated that the hobby boxes were like $900 on their own website, like, I think like that's why the retail like started off as hot as it did out of the gate.
Yeah. We always make fun of Chronicles because whenever we do our preview of the sets coming out for the week, we go, okay, guys, get ready to write all the sets that are in Chronicles. Here's the 36,
Yep.
And it's one of those things like it feels like just leftovers. Like, okay, we have all these cool brands, but we can't put them all out. So let's throw them all together and just call it, whatever. And then, I think you said there's like 22 Zions in the set.
Yep.
It's like, how watered down does that become? And
Right.
I don't know. And so, it's, to me, with it being not, if you're spending $900 on that, well, good Lord, enjoy, because it's not, I don't know. It's just not that good of a product in my mind. You're better off buying some Prism.
As a general rule, you have most products are a 50% loss right off the bat, right? I'm going to open up a box, a $100 box, and I'm lucky if I get $50 back. $50, 50% of that has to go into just the joy of opening, the anticipation. If you get your money back in just one random box, fantastic. Chronicles is designed at $120 to probably net you $60 to $70 worth of goods. Okay, so if you're paying an 8x multiplier, right? I mean, think about it. When you drive a car off the lot, you lose X amount of value just by taking it off the lot. Think about that in cards. Now, if we were to go out and buy a Kia Rio, it's a $10,000 car, we're not paying $90,000. We're not paying the cost of a Bentley or a Rolls Royce here for a Kia Rio. And that's literally what you're doing with Chronicles, and people are complaining about, well, I didn't get my money back. Well, no shit. Because it's a $50 product.
Well, the one thing I can see,
$900.
I can see that would have made the box, say, maybe close to even say $200 for a hobby box, was the fact that some of the Prism update cards, having Kendrick Nunn in there, especially, that bringing the price up. Not that Taco Fall is a great player, but he's kind of got a cult following type thing. He's such a big dude.
Yeah.
Kai Bowman, the same thing. The kid in Toronto,
Terrence Davis.
Yeah, those guys kind of have like, if they're going to make it, these are the cards that's the rookie cards you're going to want. And I can see it kind of bringing the price up somewhat, but I don't know.
It almost feels like with the rookies that are in that aren't in Prism, it almost feels like a Topps update set where, like, most of the all-star game rookies aren't going to be worth anything, but the guy who has an update that wasn't in Series 2, like, there's going to be a few bombs in the set going forward. But when I look at the product, I'm like, I'm not going to spend $900 for a hobby box. Like, I'm only going to make my money back if I hit a big numbered, Zion or Jaw. And then, like, I'm making my money back and then some. But on retail, like, I bought $400. I ripped $400 MSRP worth of retail. and I made my money back literally in 6 cards. Like
Yeah.
I have 6 cards on hand that are worth more than $400.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And because you didn't pay the multiplier of that $400, if you went to buy that on the open market, you're spending close
Yep.
to what, like $3,000 to buy that same amount of cards.
Yep. Well,
So-
I mean, retail is at like between 4 and 5x markup. So I think if I
Okay.
would have paid 3x, I think I would have broken even. Like I don't know where the value of all this stuff is going to land, but I looked at 2018-19 and what like Luca and Trey and MPJ are at, from the set. And when I see like a foil board, like Luca from last year selling for like $80, like, okay, well, the Zion is selling for 20 right now, and they probably overprinted this product. They probably printed it way more than 18-19, but it's reasonable that card, that Zion, that's a $20 card now. The market's going to get flooded with them. It's going to dip down to 15. And then by next season, if Zion's, killing it, maybe it's a $40 or $50 card. So for me, there's a lot of value in holding this set long term, just based off the amount of rookies you get.
Yeah, and I can't believe you didn't bring up Marvin Bagley the third. I mean, he was the second pick in that draft. Here in Sacramento, we know that he's better than Luca.
Oof.
That hurts. It
Sure.
feels like we took Sam Bowie.
And
all I'm
no
gonna
Kevin
say.
Porter reference.
Took Sam Bowie.
Shep's.
You
Little
always
thing.
post a lot of flips that you do on ComC,
Yep.
and so give us a little. For folks that haven't been on Check Out My Cards or might just buy on there, just for certain cards that they're looking for. What are some tips, tricks, and like hints you could give us on, maybe going on there and not depositing any cards, but just buying some and then turning around selling them, that kind of stuff. What are some ComC do's and don'ts for you?
Yeah, I mean the do's are, buy cards that you like. Number one, I guess one of the don'ts is don't buy cards that you don't like. So if you're trying to flip players, but you're like, I don't know football, and I don't want to get stuck with these. So like my number one is like I have to be cool with every flip that I make. Like if I get stuck with this card, if its value goes to 0, I have to be cool with that. Otherwise, I just won't buy it unless it's a like obvious, no brainer. Like I'm not a big Mahomes fan, but if somebody prices a Mahomes super cheap, like I'm gonna buy it, right? So I mean that's my number one. Some of my don'ts are like don't buy a card that can show up in volume on ComC. So like a good example of this, the first 2020 Chrome Yordan Alvarez, I think Yordan's a bad example because he's out. The first 2020 Kyle Lewis that shows up on the site out of Chrome. Somebody's gonna 1 week it and try to beat everybody else onto the site. It might be me. I don't know. But somebody's gonna 1 week that card, and they're gonna put it up. And if you think it's low, just know that there's a wave of other cards coming behind it. So one of my big don'ts is like don't buy base cards unless they're like insanely undervalued and you can flip them immediately. Because at some point, stuff that isn't numbered, stuff that isn't rare, like you're going to have to beat a wave or an influx of stuff coming in from other sellers. So you never want to get into that game where now you're playing the race to the bottom, even if it's a hot player, even if you're like trying to do that with Bichette's out of Series 1, just know that people have Bichette's from Series 1 in the, in their current year orders that are, not being shown, or they're in the pipeline. A whole bunch of that stuff's coming. So that's one of my don'ts. One of my do's is diversify. So like what I mean is don't just buy one player. I think we lost Shep. Don't just buy one player. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. I like to diversify. I like to do basketball, baseball, and lately soccer. And I know nothing about soccer, but the market's so hot right now. If somebody lists like a parallel of a Messi card or like a hot player, like I can just look at what the base card is selling for and use that data to extrapolate. So I just go a lot based off feel. I always check comps on things when I can. If something pops up in the recently added section, which I check literally a lot, I sometimes think, well, there's people who will just buy immediately and, somebody will price something out and it'll sell within a minute. Sometimes you don't always have time to do research. So sometimes I just make a judgment call. Like, do I like that card enough to get stuck with it or overpay for it or something like that? And then another good one is just buy cards and hold on to them. One of the cool things about this week was I bought a lot of Donovan Mitchell second year, like prisms and silvers and some ruby waves, a few, like 2 or 3 weeks back. I was like, you know what? These all just feel low compared to like what Jason Tatum second year stuff is doing. So I just bought them and did nothing with them. and then he had his 57-point game. And I'm like, oh, I have like 6 of these second-year silvers. I paid like $11 each for them, which might have been high like when I bought them. And now I see the lowest price copy on the site is like 40. I'm like, oh, cool. I guess I'll put up 2 up for sale. And I guess that would be another one of my don'ts is if you buy 10 copies of a card, like 10 of a prospect, and you're going to be the lowest price on the site, don't put your whole inventory out there. Like trickle them out 1 or 2, because there's a chance that that player does something crazy, goes on a big run, and then like the price goes up from the next time you sell it. So just trickle them out, put 2 up. If you have 8, put 2 up, and then put 2 more up, and then 2 more up. So
Nice.
those would be some suggestions.
All right.
And then
Nothing to disagree with there.
And then the ComC auctions. You can always buy ComC auctions, transfer them to your ComC account, if you can get a good deal, and then you can price it higher on ComC. I don't do that as much anymore because there's a lot of people trying to do that right now. Like the competition's pretty crazy. And that's just one way though. You can definitely do that.
You talk a lot on the channel about you really like PJ Washington Jr., the rookie with the Hornets.
Yep.
And what do you see in this guy that you think that why is he an attractive player to you as far as his game?
Yeah, I always try to find one player who kind of flies under the radar in their draft class, and unfortunately, I knew it was MPJ last year. Like I just knew, and I didn't go as in on him as I wanted to, because local kid, 6'10", he just rains down threes, has a good shot, a little bit lanky. So I'm like, well, that's the only thing I don't like about him is he's a little lanky, get tore up by some of the bigger guys in the league. I look at PJ and I look at that Hornets team and I'm like, this Hornets team is like, they have a lot of talent, I've been a big believer in Devontae Graham pretty much since I saw him play. You see like he can score at will basically. I like a player like that, and I like a 1-2 combo. I like 2 guys who are coming into the league, a couple years apart and growing together. And I'm like, that Devontae Graham to PJ Washington combo just looks good. PJ, whenever I'm like looking at guys, I'm like point guards and like centers who don't have range, or like usually the last 2 guys I look at. I look at PJ and he's just like in that kind of role of like MPJ. And like just that, small forward, power forward kind of role, who can pretty much just attribute to the game in every way possible. I'm like, people are just super sleeping on him. And I look at the price of his silvers and his base compared to everybody else. And I'm just like, I'm just going to stack this guy and not sell anything. And that's kind of what I've been doing from Prism onward with him.
Yeah, no, that's cool because, I think, you look back and not that he's Giannis. But same thing, Giannis took a while to develop. A lot of these kids are 19, 20 years old, and it could take them a year or 2 to kind of figure out the NBA and their game. I think we see Cam Johnson this year. He's coming out and playing a lot better.
Yeah.
You have so there's guys popping up here and there that you see that might take a few years to figure out and become good. So I like that. It's kind of a good explanation to kind of find a guy you like. And like there was our buddy that Tony's Hobby Vault. He was all over Baisley.
Mm-hmm.
He was buying every color you could find, any Prism card that was released of him. He was just collecting them like crazy because he liked the kid. And he just tweeted out pictures showing all these cards and everybody's like, well, are you selling? He's like, no. He's like, this is my guy. It doesn't matter what I paid for him or what I could sell for him now. Like, this is gonna stash away my PC because it's one of my guys. So love to see that. I think
another thing that I look for is like, can this guy be 1 or 1A on his team? And that's another big one. Like I look at like one of my knocks against MPJ when I was looking, I'm like, well, they got Murray, they got Jokic, where is he going to fit in? Like, where is he going to get his minutes? Where is he going to get his points? And so when I look at the Hornets team, I'm like, it's a lot of good young talent, but other than Devontae Graham, there's nobody who's going to, potentially be that guy just, getting those points, getting those minutes. And he's somebody who could work his way into the rotation and be, 36, 40 minutes a game, and, from there, that's all you need. You just need to get those minutes. So when when all the hype for Bol happened, I was like, okay, well, number 1, it's a scrim game. So, look who's guarding him and they're not really trying hard. Number 2, like that Nuggets team is already going to make a playoff run. Are they really going to stick Bol in these high high importance games when they already have a rotation and people are already questioning where MPJ is going to get his minutes, and MPJ is just looking like a superstar out there. So like, it's just a matter of like looking. Like another one was Thibault, who like I'm like, but that team's pretty good. Like, where is he going to get his points? Where is he going to get his minutes? Like, so that's another thing I look at when I'm trying to figure out who I want to invest in for basketball.
Yeah, nice. What's your favorite product to open? If you could only open like one product, and it would just come to you, you'd finish opening a box, another box appears. What product would that be?
Oh, this is tough. That's a good question. You know what? I would probably say I've just been busting it for so long, and there's so many parallels and cool things that I haven't hit. Probably Topps Chrome baseball. I know that's, I could just say NT or something like that because it doesn't matter. You didn't ask me if I had the money to do it.
Sure.
But I think that in terms of like a product that I love is probably just Topps Chrome. It's just, it's just classic, it just has all the classic parallels. They don't do anything crazy. It pretty much stays the same year to year. And it's such a cool feeling anytime you open a pack and you see a little sliver of silver or a little silver of orange on the side. Just like that feeling. I haven't hit a red in like a real long time. Never hit a super or anything like that. So I would say that product. I mean, looking back in hindsight, obviously Prism Basketball from any year previous is fun. I have a series on my channel where I did 5 or 6 boxes of 2017-18 retail Prism. And I got those, I believe, in like late March from Blowout. And I paid $160 a box. And that was before Tatum and Mitchell and all those guys like super blew up, back when they were $50 rookies. And now I can't bust that anymore because I look at the product and it's like $600 plus a box.
Oh yeah. Well, I was buying the 18-19 retail, 3-pack cello packs of the red, white, and blues. Mm-hmm. My store here had them for the longest time for $100 a box. Wow. And I was opening 18-19, like I opened like two boxes or I'd randomly just buy a pack of them when I was in there. And then one day I walked in like a week later and the box was $400. I'm like, wait, what happened?
Funny that you say
last week for $100. What happened?
Funny you say that because I've been dabbling a little bit and wanting to do some group breaks and things like that on my channel. A lot of people have asked me to do personals. A lot of people have asked me to do group breaks. I've done personals before. And so my coworker, or one of my old coworkers, he had some cellos from 17-18 and 18-19. And we literally just swung a deal for those 2 days ago. So I think I'm going to combine them with a retail box or two from 1920 and just do a multi-year Prism mixer as one of my first group breaks on my channel.
Ooh, that's fine. I'm in.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It's gonna be fun because like the price of those, like it wasn't cheap. Yeah. Like with but it was, it was when I was like, I want to do something like I wanted to offer some personals. I have Chronicles for people, like I bought on the secondary market like I do. But I wanted to do like a big like kind of premiere thing, and then afterwards I do personals. And I was like, man, a Prism mixer would just be great. Like the price of this stuff is really expensive. It's almost too expensive right now for like one person to bust on their own. But let me get a group break going and let's try to hit, Tatum and Luka and Zion. Like let's go from the hunt for all three. I think that was really appealing to me.
Yeah. What's your next PC goal? Because I know you picked up the Haniger Superfractor you were looking for a long time.
Yeah.
What's the next card or next thing you want to add to your collection?
That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that too much. So the Haniger Superfractor was like a 3-year wait where I, checked eBay literally every day, multiple times a day, hoping that, on my saved searches, Haniger Superfractor would someday have a like little red dot next to it, indicating there was a new listing. That was a crazy moment. So I have some Haniger like rainbows and stuff like that I'm still not complete. I think I actually still need the X-Fractor from that rainbow. So I don't have the full rainbow of that yet. But I do have the in the name from 2018 update of Haniger. I have 3 of them, and somebody in our Mariners group has the 4th one. So to get those other 3 and have the full Haniger nameplate from his All-Star appearance in 2018, that would be pretty awesome. I'm also working on the 2019-20 Prism Sean Kemp Rainbow, and I've got everything down to the gold and except the Mojo. So I've got I think that's like a 23 or a 24 card rainbow, and I have 18 of them. But all the ones I'm missing are the 101s and the /5s that, Yeah. So that would be a goal. But I haven't really put too much thought into it after the Haniger Super. It was kind of nice to cross that one off. It's actually over there. I have like these shelves set up, And it's actually just sitting in the middle. I guess one of my collecting goals would be to get I have a gold Tim Lincecum Bowman Chrome Auto. I'd like to get an orange or red. I know who has the super, and I'm never gonna, it's locked up because there's like 3 or 4 like Haniger super or Lincecum super collectors. But it would be cool to join their club and have a red surface.
That's cool. Yeah.
So what about come next year? The Kraken.
Oh, the Kraken. Yeah, it's gonna be. I've really, really tried hard to get into hockey. I tried to follow the Vancouver Canucks, and that was tough. I tried to follow the Golden Knights, and it was really cool watching them, do their playoff run. But like it was when I tried to like be a Blazers fan after the Sonics left, like unless I have a local team, like it's just super hard. Like I guess I can't get over that mentality of like wanting to root for like my hometown team or the team closest to me.
So do you really hate like KD and Westbrook? I know it wasn't their fault that they left.
No, I love
Lugano and Newendike.
So I mean, Westbrook, I'm indifferent about. Like, it just his style of play is fun. It's not really for me. KD, I think, is kind of a snake for going to Golden State. That was really, but before that, like, it was fine. Like a lot of people in Seattle, like, just couldn't watch the Thunder, and I could watch them. But as time went on, I no longer just associated them with the Sonics. It was just like a whole new team. But no, I don't feel bad about the players at all or anything like that. I would love us to get the Sonics back, and the Thunder can be the Thunder, but I do think it's kind of weird when they, reference, their lineage and things like that whenever I catch a Thunder game and they talk about, 90s playoffs, and I'm like, that's not, to me, they're just a whole new team.
Right.
Yeah. No, I hated Seattle there for a minute because they were trying to steal my Kings, and I was like, how are you going to try to steal someone else's team when, your team got stolen? I've always said this, that, and I still believe this is true, that within this next decade, you're going to see the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. If there's not expansion in the NBA, those two teams will end up in Kansas City and Seattle.
First.
I'm just saying, like, I have a feeling that's going to happen. I've actually, in my NBA 2K, I made the Seattle Supersonics come back as an expansion team, and I made an expansion team for myself called the Kansas City Scouts. And
So you don't think the Sacramento region would get a basketball team?
We have the Kings. I don't know. They're about the same level as the Oakland A's in their professional sport.
We don't need a minor league team. We need a legitimate team. I mean, Memphis has got a strong future. Maybe they can relocate here to Sacramento.
See, and I didn't want us to take the Kings. Like, obviously, I wanted a new basketball team, but I know how that feels to lose a team, and it's a horrible feeling. So it's like I would rather have an expansion team. And I've done the same thing as you when I booted up 2K. I haven't played it in a while, but I made the Sonics. People are insane in those creative, logo modes. You can literally just download like what they would look like modern.
Yeah,
and I did an expansion draft, and then I traded all my picks and everything away for Michael Porter Jr. So my team was literally MPJ and Gordon Hayward, who was my number 1 draft pick. The rest of my team was hot garbage, but I had those two.
Yeah.
So given that I'm not a basketball collector and I at least know names, let's get your quick opinion, if you will, on these three. They'll load on the side window. Not that one.
Well, there we go.
Ooh. Yeah, so those teals are beautiful. I love those. Like, I'm a big sucker. I overpay for those all the time on ComC. I like Jordan Poole. I think he's a hold. I think Cam Reddish is one of those guys, like I was talking about, who I don't know where he's going to get all his points from, because he's got Trey, who can, literally score at will. I think Trey is flying under the radar on the hobby too. Like, as high as his stuff is, like Luka is exponentially like several times more his prism, and I don't think it should be there. So Jordan Poole and Cam Reddish are a hold. That Morant is like the second, like it's not the one everybody wants from Hoop.
Right.
So I'd honestly probably sell that one after he won Rookie of the Year.
Sure.
Assuming, I mean, he's got it locked in the bag, so I don't know why I would say assuming, but
no, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of signing all three. And, No, just holding on to them for a huge game, or like you said, once the Rookie of the Year is announced.
Yeah, we're in a weird spot right now where I have 1,500 basketball cards processing with ComC right now, and they're all my Prism, Optic, and Mosaic rookies that, up until last month were only worth a couple bucks each. And then one day I was looking, I've got all my stuff on racks over there, and I was looking through my 3 rows I have of rookies, and I was looking, I'm like, I have 14 Keldon Johnson. This card's selling for $14 on ComC. I have just of all the Prism, and that's Prism. Of all the Prism I opened, the only 2 rookies that I sold were Zion and Ja, and I regret everything I did about. Let me take that back. I don't regret anything in the hobby, but I wish I had held some, and I wish I had held some sealed product. Because if you go back on my YouTube channel, I have videos where I'm sitting on my desk. I'm like, oh, we're gonna bust 5 mega boxes, and somebody commented on one of those videos from December, and I'm like, this is $3,000 worth of product now. Why did I? And I had. At one point, I bought 14 mega boxes for a little under double what they were selling for, and now they're $600 a piece. But I mean, I just have all those rookies. I only sold 2 rookies, so I have stashes of 14 and 15, Tyler Hero, Kobe White, and I'm I'm just gonna send all these to ComC, whether I decide to sell them all now or hold them. But I felt like it was good to have them all in play, ready to sell, at the marketplace. I'd rather just pay ComC, I was just paying them 35 cents on those, I think. So who knows when they'll get loaded, but I'm not in a rush because the season's winding down, and but I'm they're better sitting in my ComC account, not priced out, than sitting on my shelf where I can't do anything unless I want to do the work myself.
Yeah. So given that we know James is one of one lifetime hit, what's your guys's not that Ben opens packs all too often, but what's your guys' most recent hit?
So I got a box of. I was only allocated 1 box of Topps Chrome Baseball, and I thought about selling it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to find any of it on the shelves. I didn't pay very much for the box, so I sat down and said, "Screw it! I'm just going to open it." For what I paid for it, I could have bought a couple of blasters if I found them in the wild. So I opened it. In the first pack, halfway through, Kyle Lewis Chrome Rookie Auto. And I was like, that's awesome, because what I'd done is right the week the season was starting, I went on to ComC. I went on to ComC and to Sport Lots. In Sport Lots especially, I went through and found everybody that had way underpriced Kyle Lewis base flagship rookies, because I think everybody forgot about him in Series 1 because they don't remember what he was doing at the end of last year. And I
for that matter.
I bought tons of them for 18 cents shipped, and I think with ComC they were around 60 cents I was paying for them. I have to look, and I was just buying them all up, and I was like, and then he started doing because I think he's going to be a good player. I think the Mariners hopefully can build with him and add some pieces, but I was like, I got the Kyle Lewis auto. I was like, dude, I'm awesome. Whatever happens the rest of this box, I'm good with, because I got one of the better autos you could pull out of the box, and it wasn't a pitcher.
Yeah. When those started showing up on the site, I bought 15 of the Topps base, but I also had 30 first Bowman Chromes, and I had 10 first Bowman Chrome refractors that have just been trickling out, because Kyle Lewis was somebody I prospected. I love him, but when the prices are where they are and what I paid $2 per refractor. You got to sell. But to answer your question, so Zion was my best hit last year, probably the best hit of my life. This year, I hit a Tatum fast break pink, numbered to 75, or purple, sorry, numbered to 75 out of 1718 Prism. And that hit, when I originally hit it, I was like, it's like an $800 card. And now, and that was back in March or early April. Now that card's probably it graded out at a BGS 9. I got 10 on centering and edges and 9s on corners and surface. So, and they didn't give me a 9.5, they gave me a 9, which is a little heartbreaking. But I expect to sell the card between 25 and 3,000. But that's not my favorite hit. My most recent, if we're talking, that was back in March. So most recently, my favorite hit was out of a Topps Chrome hobby box. My LCS sold it to me for $150, which was a great price, obviously. I had a Chris Bryant 1985 auto numbered to 25, and that was pretty fun because I like Chris Bryant a lot.
That's nice.
Just you saying that what you're buying those boxes for, we talked about on the show, and how awesome your LCS was with the pricing on Topps Chrome that they had this year. So
Yeah, and they're doing the exact same thing for Bowman Chrome too. So I mean, they're not gonna mark that one up. It's awesome when you have an LCS like that who, at pre-order they're not gonna price gouge you too much.
Sure.
And then the second wave of stuff they're gonna mark it up a little, but they're not gonna go full. It's just very cool. Very cool to have a LCS that didn't mark up supplies when things were short. And you call and he didn't. He just tell you when stuff was coming in. It's not like, oh, come into the store and find out.
Anything, Ben? Or I guess maybe in your case, what's the nicest thing you've had come in the mail?
Oh, I get all kinds of stuff in the mail. There's so much to choose from. My best pull ever was probably an RPA printing plate of Russell Wilson from 2012 Momentum. I was able to sell that to an LCS and turn around and buy a Harper and Trout rookie auto. So
Nice.
So,
yeah,
Angela, so with last week being the Please Come Back to the Hobby Shop week for the National Baseball Card Day promo, me and Angela each did a box of Diamond Kings, of course. Down to about 20 or so inserts for that year. Base sets complete. It's short print sets. Kind of spotty, but I'm checking sport lots after the show here. I got skunked. My boxes had crap. Hers, on the other hand, her first pack had this Dave Winfield dual relic.
Nice.
And her second to last pack kind of brought some controversy to Twitter because I don't know if you could read that, but it says Yankees.
Oh, they made a mistake.
There we go. That's a good shine there.
Woo!
Number 10 of 20, so the amount of World Series rings he has, but also it says it on the back. Plain to
Nice.
see.
nice.
That's kind of cool that they design the cards with that in mind, and then they just take off what they can't have, if that's what they do with everything. Or they did this with like one of the Dennis Rodman inserts for basketball, where they had Michael Jordan in the background. Sometimes I think Panini just does mistakes like that just to see what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we had James on last week to talk about that Michael Jordan, especially one of them where he's just sitting on the background. But I would love to hear his opinion either on this or the fact that his game.
Paul Lesko.
Paul Lesko.
Sorry,
So, it's okay.
that one. But the fact that it says game used material, and that's obviously either like a manager or a old timers game used. A little text legalities like that would be interesting to discuss.
Yeah, and
Very nice.
that card actually shut down the hobby hotline last Saturday when Steph came on. And
So what happened?
it was
Steph just
Steph gets
pushing
the
buttons.
boot, all of a sudden we're like mid sentence and we look up and it's like, you guys ended. We're like, well, okay, I guess on to the rest of our Saturday.
To explain Enatone, sorry for canceling the show. What had happened was I popped on real quick because I saw that they were still live. And I went, hey, yeah, here's 2 real quick hits. Okay, let me just fumble that and shove it back in my phone because I was talking with a good buddy of ours at the show, and we were breaking boxes. So show them off real quick. And I mean, really grateful to meet up with Irving again. He had his mom make some custom Mario masks because we had the cloth. So we were exchanging those and talking with him and talking with his 9-year-old son, soon to be 9-year-old. And I looked down at my phone and I still hear it. And I'm like, no, just close. And I shoved it back in my pocket. Well, apparently I'd heard, hey, I think Steph just cut us off. I looked down again and I'm like, shit, they're still there. The show is not.
Great producer work. Well, that's awesome. Let's get into it though. The week that was, you're gonna hang out with us, right, James?
Yeah, I'm in.
Awesome.
Cool.
The week that was last week's releases, Topps Living Week 127. We had card 337, Jack Morris, Hall of Fame pitcher, the Detroit Tigers, aka Magnum PI. He sold a little over 1,800, and then card 338, Anthony Kay, rookie pitcher, the Toronto Blue Jays, sold a little over 2,200. Not too bad.
Birds?
About what we thought they would go for this last week.
I was kind of surprised Morris went under 2, but
I'm not. Come on. Jack Morris, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Start there.
It's true.
Tiger, Indian,
Okay, so
91 World Series really kind of propels him there.
Okay,
Doesn't matter.
we had one good World Series. Doesn't make a career.
I mean, there's so many guys that are Jack Morris, Jim Rice, Kirby Puckett that are not Hall of Famers.
Oh, I guess Kirby Puckett.
Ooh, you can't say
Just
that about
stabbed him in
Kirby.
the eye like that.
Like, hey, it's just hey, I speak the truth.
I was collecting, like, I had the whole living set up until about 170 or so, and then my just passion for it just, I don't know, dropped off. There was a point where I had like 8 weeks of unboxed cards that I hadn't looked at, and I'm like, it's time for me to get out.
Sure.
I think it's right. You were about 70 cards longer than most people because we saw about 100. It started to fall off right after Trout was released.
Yeah.
So check out.
We get a lot of people that are asking about, is this product done? And I it's dying a slow death, but it's going to take a long time to get there. We've seen it level off at 2,000 cards roughly per card, and they're making money, so they're going to keep doing it probably for their next 5.
And
7,
it's
10
still
years.
Miami. Is it Mayomi Sito? Is that how you say her name? Is it still her doing all of the artwork for it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and they went from 3 cards to 2 cards.
Yep.
A while back. So make sure you check out at Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set by team and position. We also had 2020 Panini Elements Football. As we talked earlier, 2020 Topps Chrome Baseball and 2020 Bowman Sterling Baseball all came out last week. Hot off the press is this week's new releases. Topps Living Week 128, card 339, Nick Castellanos, outfielder of the Cincinnati Reds, not Nicholas, who was one of the early releases. This looks like a mugshot. Hold on.
It really does.
And it says Nick and not Nicholas like his first one did. And then card 340, Aaron Cavill, rookie pitcher of the Indians. He actually was pitching tonight against the Pirates, I believe. So I think these are probably both in the 16 to 1700 range.
Yeah.
I do like combining the 2 Ohio teams. A really nice touch. Maybe they start doing that more in the future. I mean, yeah, obviously get Mets, Yankees, but Texas and Houston or Minnesota, Milwaukee.
Or rivals. Red Sox, Yankees. We were talking about that in our chat. Dodgers, Giants. That might be fun too.
Yeah. Also dropping today, 2020 Topps Archives Baseball. 120 a box, 24 packs per box, 8 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 autographs and 1 nickname mini poster. The 300 card base set. They're using 3 different years in the set, so each year has 100 cards. So 1955, 1974, and the disgusting 2002. Nickname posters, which are loosely inspired by the Costeco brothers posters from the 1980s. There's fan favorite autographs continue to be a big part of the signature content. They rely heavily on retired players, not necessarily big names, but more stars and their local markets or for a short period of time. Phil Hughes has some autographs on this, and he has actually put some bounties on certain cards. He has like Miggy's My Daddy, 191 career home runs given up, different things.
Is my bro.
Yeah, and if you pull one of those, he's offering a bounty. I also know there's some other. I know that Cheap Fun Breaks is offering some bounties on certain Phil Hughes autos, like he's giving out shot glasses and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. We've Brent Williams, and I don't have a lot of details on the set, just because everything that was released about the set may have changed a little bit from the first day. So Brent Williams noticed there's heard of some issues and some changes with the set. He's hearing of possible pack issues with Archives Baseball, similar to Series 2, but it seems not to be all 100 base cards groups are packed out equally. So that would mess up a lot of base sets if you're opening cases. Also hearing of missing some hits or things on wrapper odds not showing up. So then this was a couple of days ago, but it was way too soon to know. The Field of Dream cornfield inserts appeared to be no more. Although it isn't really a surprise, you never know. They still might be in retail. Some listed inserts now appear to be part of the set, not a subset that was normally a traditional of the last few years. Also, a new insert that was not originally announced is the 1955 Bowman Rookies. And this is at least one insert set that's getting more difficult to build. Also, the 1990 Rookies, just being 1 per box. And the cornfield autos are still listed on the odds, and he assumes those will be printed and signed a long time ago. Instead of not using them, they put them in. So
Now, I did hear from our buddy Bayside Breakers that he opened 5 boxes and only got one of the full body variations. So maybe 2 a case.
They are 2 a case on both those as well as the minis. They're going to be tough to pull. Bayside Andrew also pulled a Phil Hughes auto, although it was not one of the bounty cards, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He plans to keep it.
That's very cool. So, Archives is Archives, and, it's there. 2019-2020 Upper Deck Ultimate Hockey dropped today. $150 a box, 1 pack per box, 4 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 rookie autograph, 2 additional autographs in our mem cards, and 1 base parallel or ultimate introduction card. It's a 200-card base set. The veterans are numbered out of 149, the legends out of 99. The rookie cards fall under Ultimate Rookie banner, and they're numbered out of 299 or 99. Big emphasis on on-card signatures and high-end memorabilia. Ultimate Introductions is a large 90-card insert set that's centered on the season's rookie class. And Rookie Accents is new this year. It's a rookies combined in an action photo with a large signature for an on-card auto. So,
some pretty huge names just amongst the guys that I'm seeing here. Kubalik, yeah, sure, everyone knows Wayne Gretzky. But, Jack Eichel, not quite a rookie. Connor McDavid, obviously not a rookie. But Nick Suzuki, Victor Olofsson, Cale Makar, obviously, is probably one of the huge ones you're probably going to chase down. Yeah. Having a great year for a defenseman. As much as I hate the Avalanche, I wouldn't turn one of these down.
Yeah. So some, another nice looking hockey product, and I like the fact, the higher end they're focusing on getting those on card autos. And the box prices on the first 2 have not been terrible. I mean, they're right in line. I saw a box of Archives today at the LCS for $110.
How much are these?
150. 150. Yeah,
that's not bad.
No, not for what you're not. You're only getting 4 cards, but it's a really, you're getting 2 autos and some really high end stuff. 2020 certified Panini certified football drops Friday. Not too bad for what we've seen lately for football. $275 a box. $275 per box, 10 packs per box, 5 cards per pack, 1 freshman fabric signatures, 1 additional autograph, 2 mem cards, 3 parallels, 2 rookies and/or rookie parallels. It's a 200 card foil base set, 100 rookies and 100 vets. The freshman fabric mirror signatures combined an autograph and jumbo patch from the key rookies. They also have fabric of the game signatures, which are all the veterans. The new this year lasting impressions autographs, and they're numbered out of 149. There's also some graffiti inspired design inserts to highlight some of the top players. If you look up that Lamar Jackson 2020 certified insert, again, Panini doing some really cool stuff with their inserts this year,
taking chances,
and I believe that's one of them. That looks pretty legit.
And I'm getting a huge early 90s vibe with the graffiti effect here and the stat smashers all corked and colorful.
Mm-hmm.
That
maybe not
one almost looks like a
1,000 yard ribbon parallel, but some nice little accents and touches here.
That Lamar Jackson almost looks like a Project 2020 type card with the paint behind it. A couple Ben Baller type stuff.
Yeah. By the way, if you've ever lived or been to San Diego, that Tony Gwynn that he dropped today is amazing. It says Stay Classy San Diego from their classic Ron Burgundy line. It has all the freeway signs.
Yeah.
For San Diego, the 619 area code. That was really cool. I really appreciated that card today. Make sure you check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more detail on all these new releases. What's brewing next week's new releases? 2020 Panini Ultimate Immaculate Baseball drops. 2020 Topps 5-Star Baseball. 2020 Top Bowman Transcendent Collection. Bring your pennies. 2020 Panini Black Football and 2020 Panini Immaculate Collegiate Football. I doubt we're going to get all 3 of those Panini football releases in 1 week, but we will see as that updates almost daily. Infield Chatter, our Hobby Talk section. Make sure you check out the Hobby Hotline this Saturday on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And make sure you're checking out Monday nights on the same channels at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern time.
I think we said before the show here on Saturday. It's me, Drew, and
John
I think one
Newman.
of the-
John Newman.
John Newman, right?
And then Monday, it's me, Drew, and Mike Summer.
Yep.
Officially this week, the 2020 National Sports Collectors Convention was officially canceled. They tweeted out the difficult, but we believe correct decision has been made to cancel the 2020 National. We look forward to making the 41st National in Chicago the very best ever. Are you surprised?
Nope.
No, it's the right call.
I do think maybe a compromise, at least for Atlantic City, is that they do a spring summer. I know it says July, but I think that's just the tentative date. This is usually right around the end of July, at the start of my mom's birthday through 5-6 days later. If they do a spring summer, hey, so be it. Atlantic City gets their show. Hopefully we're ready to have one by then.
Yeah, let's just get to a place where life can get somewhat normal again.
I'm not surprised at all. Like, I think it was like in good faith of them to say they were going to do it in December, but the location's already not like optimal for people. Like, people prefer Cleveland or Chicago. I know people on the coast get frustrated about that, especially on the West Coast. But it makes perfect sense to have it in the center of the country. But the Atlantic City National in 2016 was actually my first one, and yeah, I have to agree because I've been to every one since, and yeah, I just didn't see it happening, and I think there's still a lot of hesitation from people in more affected parts of the country to
And
even
New
go
Jersey
to a
was one
show
of
like that. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope things get to a point where we can have a show like that next year, like a great big show like that. But yeah, I think that back even when they delayed it, because I heard very early on when they delayed it and what their plan was. I think it was just kind of I don't know. I think it was a half-hearted, like, this probably isn't going to happen, but let's say it's going to happen just to try to get it in the calendar year.
A Hail Mary
Well,
that didn't get pushed off.
Yeah.
This whole COVID thing was supposed to end by Easter, right? I mean, we all were anticipating 3-4 weeks. We thought we were going to get the NBA back by May or June. You know, we thought that the baseball season was going to 30-day delay, right? May 1st is opening day. NFL season will never be in question. And here we are in mid-August. And, you know, I don't think that they had anticipated, like anybody, how long this potentially could have lasted and will continue to last. I mean, we're talking about next year's National being in question. I mean, that's literally 11 months away at this point.
Because we can't help ourselves, and we have to go out and party and do things. And, you know,
Speak for yourself.
I'm trying to. The only places I go right now have been like the grocery store
Yep.
and the baseball card shop. But you know, there's like 3 guys in there at the same time. So things that made me smile this week. At Daniel Patty 9 tweeted out, "I'm a terrible contractor, but I think this turned out okay. We actually finished it on National Baseball Card Day. It's supposed to be a wall. It's supposed to be all White Sox, but my little guy likes Ketel Marte and a few other random players, so we're keeping those up there."
Pulling it up here.
There we go. It's an awesome picture of just baseball cards plastered on a kid's wall.
Oh, that's cool.
And for anyone that's been at the National or seen Topps' photos, they kind of do something similar.
Yeah.
Where they have a poster board where you can take one, leave one. I'd like to see this a year from now to see which ones get moved around or who gets added, who gets removed.
This goes floor to ceiling. It's awesome.
Right?
I thought about doing this in my garage over my workbench, where I've got all my A's memorabilia from when I was a kid, and doing it with 1987 Topps only. And then I thought I'm going to have to take down all that memorabilia, and then I'm going to have to, you know what? Never mind. It's not worth it.
Well, I mean, it would be
and then-
easy to take
How big of a ladder do you have?
Well, I have the workbench, dude. I can stand literally on the workbench.
But
to
then
get all the
also
high-
you need a ladder then to make sure you can reach the.
Right, but the workbench is like 3 feet tall, and then, you know, once I'm on the, I mean, I'm saying I can create 6 feet of fun.
No, I just thought it was cool. And like as a kid, like 10-year-old Tim's flipping out right now. He's like, that's awesome.
It is. I mean, if you're 8 to 12, who wouldn't love this as a room?
How about
Nah,
if you're
it's a-
40?
Yeah.
Well, I understand.
We're gonna be doing some house projects here in about a month, and I'm thinking, looking around my bedroom, looking at the walls, like, huh, what can I get away with?
Ricky would look good.
Will
about
she
that.
notice?
Yeah. So something interesting I heard this week, and it came from James, that the Chronicles basketball blasters were actually $22. Were the tops Chrome ones $22? Or are those still 20?
Yeah. Everything's up like 10%. So the cello packs were $10.98 for Topps Chrome. The fat packs for Chronicles were $6. The hanger boxes were $11. The monster boxes of Topps Chrome were $40. So I don't know if those went from $37.99 to $40 or if they've always been $40. I just can't recall. But I mean, that's a price increase that I'm 100% cool with. I mean, it's supply and demand. And the stuff isn't staying on the shelves. Sure, 10% is fine. If they went up another 10% next year when things were still hot or hotter, 10%'s fine. What's not fine is going from 125 to 900.
So
Sure.
on retail, though, on a 10% bump, I don't think that has anything to do with supply and demand, as in they're just trying to gouge us for an extra, couple
Sure.
of nickels.
Sure.
I think this might go back to like the third-party logistics type things. You
Yeah.
have distribution issues, you have the fuel cost, you have all of these associated costs that might have to be built in due to COVID-related issues where it's harder to get it from point A to point B to point C, point A being manufacturing, point C being where we buy it. That
Shelves.
person right in the middle, I think some of those costs are going to be kind of built in there.
Yeah.
That's just my thought is that's where the 10% doesn't go backwards. Who knows? And the shelf space might cost more as well. I mean, Walmart and
That's
Target
not a bad
have-
markup.
It's not, but Walmart has to keep a certain. Usually they're right at 25% or higher is their margin, so everything has to be built in backwards for them. I don't know if Target has a similar margin, so if Walmart wants to charge more for that space, guess what? It's a ripple effect. The distributor has to pay more, therefore they're it might go backwards in this particular case.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been in back really collecting for 8 years, and so blasters have always been $20. So the fact that it went eight years or more without an increase is not too bad. So yeah. Speaking of new supplies, Beckett is dropping out some new supplies. The GTS posted a blog post on their site. New Beckett Shield trading card supplies are launching in the fourth quarter. Longtime gaming card supply manufacturer Dragon Shield has partnered with Beckett Media to introduce a new line of trading card supplies under the brand name Beckett Shield. The current supply chain challenges as they relate to trading card supplies have been reverberated throughout the hobby, causing mass shortages of key products. To help combat these supply and logistics problems, all Beckett Shield trading card supplies will be manufactured in North America and distributed from a centrally located warehouse in Dallas, Texas. The first wave of the product's release will be sometime in Q4 ahead of the holiday shopping season. Included in the first wave will be anywhere between 13 and 15 much needed and commonly used products. Those products look to be card armor, which are 35-point magnetics, top loaders that range from 35-point up to 130-point, storage sleeves for both standard and thick cards. Those are what they're calling penny sleeves, graded card sleeves, team bags. Card sleeves, those are semi-rigid top loaders for grading submission for standard and thick cards. And then they're also going to release their own 9-pocket pages.
Well, if they get too popular, Beckett will just double them in price. So,
Yeah, or
sorry,
Well,
I'm a
there'll
little
be a-
salty. I'm a little salty. I just looked at the online submission form and saw the price of 5-day doubled. I was not aware.
all the card grading they're just hey, we're a million cards behind, so it's going to cost you 10,000. Somebody the other day told me that they had a LeBron rookie they were trying to grade, and they were trying to go through PSA, and because they charge by the value of the card, it was going to cost them like $1,000 to grade the card the way they wanted to.
Yeah, it's gonna cost if I want to do a crossover like 2-day at PSA and try to get my BGS 9 Tatum into a PSA 10 holder. It's gonna cost me $200. Which
I'm good.
I haven't decided if I want to take that chance. Like it's just a $200 gamble because to me the car looks clean. I don't know what Beckett saw on the surface. We'll see.
It's still like maybe there's somebody down there with an axe to grind because you had the Zion and they're just like, let's screw it.
Dude, that's a fun story about that. I hand delivered that. I showed up there
No.
Sunday morning. Yeah, I flew down there. I flew down there with the car because I thought it was 30,000 at the time. Like that's what everybody was telling me. Like that's 20K or more. I'm like, well, I'm not shipping it. Like so, I flew down there. You guys don't know this story?
Yeah, I heard
Okay.
it.
I had lunch
Okay.
with you when you did it.
That's right. Okay, yeah, I'm dumb. Never mind.
It's okay.
So I hand deliver it. I have lunch with you. I go back, and yeah, it's in a 9 holder, and I'm like,
That's
I instantly, I look at it, I hand it back to him. I'd like to reevaluate this. I pay the $100, and then the guy walks out from back, and he's like, dun da da da. And when he said that, I'm like, yes, I got my bump, and then he just gives me the same card back.
There's a print roll on the back, and there's a thing here, and no.
I sneezed on it and that ruined the surface.
It was the back corner, is why they couldn't bump it. The back
Grading
right
is
corner, I believe.
Such a sham, man.
Oh, but now you can go to one of the local stores here and have them pre-evaluate it, and they'll tell you whether it'll get a 9 or a 10.
So
you
fun-
can
if it-
buy their
Nominal
monthly
fee.
service. You can buy
The
their
nominal
monthly
fee.
service at $49.99. We will take a look at all
You
your
call. Hey,
cards.
listen. You register at 1-900 Big Shep's Advice, and my Discord group will tell you how and why not. You know what to do. So there's a little confusion. At EK Loken, Eric tweeted out this week, okay, Panini America and Panini CSM, I'm confused. I pulled the Willie Castro Diamond Kings Black Frame 1 of 1 out of a pack in a box I purchased from your website. I have it in my possession. However, there's another 1 of 1 black frame out in print and it was on eBay. So he tweets a picture of his card. And there's Willie Castro, some Detroit Tiger. And you go to eBay, and this auction has ended. But there is the same card. And not sold by him. Huh?
Ooh,
That's
is
awesome.
Is one, so I don't know this set that well. Is one of them the black and one of them the black satin? So they look the same in pictures, but when you touch one of them's like has a different like cardstock.
I wonder, do we have the Diamond King Whisperer on the show?
So I'd have to look up this individual particular year, but I don't think there's any actual touch difference. I think they're just color based. And because I'd pulled the I'd have to go look at it. I pulled a 1 of 1 similar to this of a 50s guy who's notorious for signing through the mail. And we debated this on a previous show whether I should send it off. But I think the blacks are the only 1 of 1s. So either this was a mistake or no, because I don't think they had him in the short print.
I'm trying to remember what year that is. I think that's like
I think you mentioned it.
2017.
I
don't
mean,
know.
on the checklist, there's only one black listed,
Oh,
right? That's
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
That's it, right? There's no variation of where you have all of these different cracked ice of
No.
this color and that color and prism and optic and whatnot. So if there's only one black, then that's it, right?
There should
The
be,
one of-
yes.
It's a 1 of 1, a legitimate 1
Looks
of
like
1.
it's one of 2.
One of
So, guys, more Project 2020 issues. So we continue the streak. This one is a personal one. So Monday, I get a package and it's from Top.com. I'm like, sweet. Well, my George Brett Project 2020 card showed up because I did not want to deal with pre-ordering from a reseller and just go right to Top, right to the source. Should be a lot easier.
Sure, no
And
problem.
I open it up and I look and I'm like, I didn't order the Willie Mays card 101. Maybe it's a free card because I've heard people randomly just getting shipments of free cards.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Awesome. Well, then somebody says, hey, I had the same thing with the card 102 George Brett, the Keith Shore, and they sent me the Willie Mays. So I look at the tracking number on the package, and I look at the tracking number on my order from Tops.com, and it's the same information. like, sweet, awesome. I lost out on my Brett. So because I'm on the West Coast and Topps customer service opens at 9 a.m. East Coast time, I mean, it's 6 a.m. here. I know that I have to get up at 6 to call them to make sure I could talk to somebody and not wait on hold, because I tried on Tuesday at 7 a.m. and I was on hold for an hour and 5 minutes before I actually had to hang up and get ready for work, and no one answered. So I got up at 6, talked to somebody this morning. They said, hey, we have to do all these things. I have to take pictures. They said, hey, you know, the packing slip. I said, there's no packing slip. Well, there needs to be a packing slip. Well, I understand that, but there was not one provided. Maybe that's why there's an issue. We go back and forth, and I have to send pictures of all this stuff. I'm thinking this card, you know, they're on card like what, almost 200 now?
210.
210. Yeah. This is card 102. They're not going to have any. Like, whatever. I'm screwed. I'm not going to get this Brett. So I go on eBay. I start looking. I make an offer on one. And then at the card shop today, they have one for $10. I just buy it. If I ever get the information to send this one back, you know, I'm just going to ask for a refund, or if they want to send me the card, that's fine. But, like, you know, I thought that I could rely on them to send me the right card, but obviously not. So that's a lot of fun to deal with.
Yeah, and then we've talked about this before. What the issue is, okay, so you end up with this Willie Mays, good for Tim, but where did it come from? Who didn't get one? Or did they make an extra one? Or are these refunds that you know, because technically if you have a 10%, you know, return rate and the print run's 2,000, then that means the adjusted print run should be 1,800, and you need to destroy the additional 200, you know, or hold a few back for replacements, but you still have to adjust the print run, and when you get that return, you have to destroy that. So
maybe they did account for the print run.
We'll see, and we don't know, and they're not going to release that information.
Well, you know, and it could have been, you know, because they were card 102 and 101 and 102. Maybe they just flipped the packages. I don't know.
Sure.
But I wasn't the only one that said that, so that's fun. I'll give you updates later.
So speaking of an update, I looked up the checklist 2020 DK. There are 3 1-of-1s for a base card parallel. Yeah. There's an artist proof masterpiece 1-of-1, of which that does not have an artist proof. There's a black frame masterpiece 1-of-1, could be his, and then there's a litho proof black frame masterpiece.
So the litho,
I would assume that would affect
say that
the coloring, and you would assume that it would say litho proof somewhere front back.
Right.
So I'm looking at what somebody claims to be a litho Paul Goldschmidt on eBay to 25 right now, and it's a white border, so it's not a black border.
Okay.
Litho proof black frame masterpiece.
Usually on Diamond Kings it says press proof, artist proof. I imagine
in like a
litho
stamp.
Proof. Yeah, a stamp in a corner on the front, so that you know what the difference is. So I'm assuming that if you have a litho black frame, you'll see a right.
So I'm just wondering if they missed the stamping run.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I'm not seeing a litho on this, and this person's claiming it to be a litho. And it looks like, based off what you're saying, I'm seeing the same thing. There's a black frame litho masterpiece and a regular black masterpiece from the frame parallel. So that's probably the scenario.
Maybe they just didn't get the print run and said, screw it this year.
No
limited time frame.
This is bad optics on Panini's part, right? And no pun on the optics, since that's one of their products.
Upper Deck did this in like the mid 2000s with a set. I can't remember what it was called. But there was like blue and blue suede, and they basically looked the same.
Oh no!
And it was really confusing.
Yeah, that's like Gypsy Queen this year. There's indigo blue, and then there's blue.
Yeah.
And besides the numbering, if you look at them, they're damn near. It's like when your wife asks, like, "Hey, do you like this white or do you like this white?"
Yeah.
They're both white. No, this one has a little hint of, you know.
And it was damn hard buying some of those because, again, I bought a lot of Gypsy Queen because that's right when COVID hit and everything stopped. So I ended up buying a lot more. And when you're buying it, you just have people that don't know what to call these. You know, you're seeing it now with all these different optic parallels and stuff. Oh, this is a red parallel. No, it's the red dragon, or it's the red wave, and all this.
There's so many colors they could use. The fact we doubled down on some of the colors like frustrates me a little bit. But
why not use a yellow or an orange or a brown, or hey, just don't make another one. Just make one.
But we got to make 97 so we can print all these other boxes.
A thing that I plan to touch on later.
Yeah. pre-ordering Project 2020 cards. So there's this big debate. Our buddy Chris Torres put out a video. I think it was episode 75 of his Project 2020 videos, and he's been really detailed in stats and kind of showing the movings and goings of Project 2020 cards, prices online, sales numbers, all of that stuff. And Chris, we've had him on the show. He's a really smart guy at CTR underscore sports cards. He has the great sales document that I use. He called out Twins Jake for not responding and providing poor customer service on pre-ordering stuff. And Jake took a beating earlier this week on it, and he later tweeted out, I'm not going to be, I won't be buying Project 2020 moving forward, working on catching up with shipping. That won't change, still working, no more buying. My whole question from this came, there's been people that I know that are owed multiple cards from Jake that other people have, that they've even received from Topps months ago, that he's still not provided out to them, and there's been no feedback, and that's not fun. Is it time just to walk away from saving a few dollars, buying it from a pre-seller for, $17 and saying, you know what, if I really want the card, I'm just going to pay the $21 for the card?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I was owed 13 cards. I had to reach out to him. Finally, he sent me the 3 that he had at that time. And based on what everybody else is getting right now, that's all he did have. So I still am owed 10 from him. But moving forward, even before he announced that, I was like, I think I'm going to start buying from Topps just because I'm tired of the games of having to wait. And, we promoted Jake so much when our show first started for months on Topps Living and other products. And, I feel bad for Jake. He's a good guy, I'm sure, and he's going to fulfill all of the orders. But you can't stand beside him anymore because his customer service is bad.
It's just hard. And, that's the thing. And, I had to back away a while ago because I was just getting way too delayed and too many cards piled up with, the Topps Living. And it's like, hey, these are low number print runs. And you say, I'm sending them back to get better. And like, I get that point, but at some point it's like, you've got to it is what it is, so.
I waited on a year for one of them that he'd sent back 3 times. And at one point it's just like, you know what? I just want the card. I don't grade. I don't care that it doesn't come back a 10. I just want the damn card to go in the binder. That's it. Just give it to me.
So,
but
I just think, it's difficult.
Customer service comes down to one word and one word alone, and that's communication. Yeah. People are willing to wait
if you tell
so
them.
much. If you talk to them, if you avoid them, that's when it looks bad. And he's been blasted on blowout forums. He's been blasted on Facebook groups, and people come to his defense. And I was coming to his defense on Facebook, and I finally just said, you know what? I like Jake, but I'm not going to put my name out there attached to his because it's just not worth the headache.
And it's a shame. And it's because, he'd tweet out photos of all these boxes and just it looks overwhelming. And, at some point it's like, hey, you might need to stop when you're ordering, thousands of cards. And I believe the Griffey Shore probably destroyed him because I know he put out a couple of tweets when that came out that he would go back at the last minute. He went back and bought 200 more at the very end. So God knows what happened there.
I like to think that this is almost a good problem that turns bad, like where he just, got overwhelmed and, his business model, he got way more orders than he could support. And, customer service, when you have that many orders, like you can't ramp things up overnight. And I think that, it's very easy to get in over your head and, certain things, group breaks, and then you have to ship everything out. It would be very easy for me on my YouTube channel to go on and offer personals of all the chronicles that I have. But I know that I don't have time to ship out, all of this product that I have on hand. Like, I have to think it through. And I think, like, the way the hobby's been, so many companies now are just pushing, group breaks and things like that. They're just as hard as they can. And that's what I think it comes down to. And it gets hard to, like, okay, well, I only have finite X number of hours in the day. Like, what am I going to do? Ship these cards out or try to reply to people? And it just comes down to he's probably just, prioritizing. And, I think it's just a good dude that just, too much too soon.
Yeah, and when you're doing it by yourself, I can understand how that gets out of hands. And my whole I thought about it. And I was like, if I was going to do that, I would limit the pre-orders I have. Say, like, I'd cap it at 100. You get in, you're in. After that, then I'm done. And that's because that's 200 cards a day for the whole season. Like, that's a
and he had a plan in place to hire somebody. He said, and then all of the returns started coming in, and that money was designated towards hiring somebody to assist him that he was no longer able to do because now you don't have that cash flow. And for all we know, that if he's buying a lot of this on debt, American Express, Visa, the amount of chargebacks that were coming in, who knows if they cut him off for fraudulent activity. I mean, we know that his eBay account got shut down because he couldn't fulfill the pre-sales in time, and he had issues there, and I think it got reopened and got reclosed, and we don't know if he has other issues as well with, say, PayPal and credit cards. So it's just a domino effect. I think he got in too deep, and those returns just killed him.
Well, like the Shore I bought today for $10. They had before at the LCS, they had 0 2020 Project 2020 cards. I went in there today, and then a couple weeks ago they had some of the Shore Griffeys and Vetus Ryans, the one giant day that sold. But now they have a full case of Project 2020 cards, all for $10, and they're all like from 90 something to 102, and for $10. So somebody paid at least $15 for each of those cards, and I know the shop didn't buy them, and now the shop has them, and they're selling them for $10. And I know he usually buys stuff to make at least a few bucks on, so maybe he bought them all for $5, and somebody took a $10 loss on all these cards, and it's, I think that's happened to a lot of people. So. Missing rookie logo. Our buddy John Newman at Sports Card Natty 1 on Twitter. I ordered 30 Luis Roberts Topps game within a game and received them 10 days ago. I got 30 more. Today I got 30 more. I thought I got a duplicate order, but then I did. But they actually redid them with the rookie card logo that was missing on the first run. So now I have variations in the set, and I have 60 Luises. And I actually had mine sitting around here. I don't know where they are. Oh yeah, yeah. So I think Steph has a picture of them, but I talked to John and got a couple, but he's missing the rookie logo on one, and it's there on the other.
I think, Gavin Lux is going to have the same issue.
Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting. This isn't the only card of Roberts. Scott Krugman said 2020 Topps Now Summer Camp Luis Robert. Top Stripes, again, refusing to acknowledge his rookie status. And so the Summer Camp cards came out recently, and it doesn't have a rookie logo. So,
but it's still from his rookie season. I mean,
yeah,
this isn't his true rookie card.
No, I know. It's weird that their on-demand stuff is missing.
You would think it would at least be consistent across the board, but I don't know that it really holds the same value if it has the rookie card logo versus not long term.
My question, though, is on the Robert, since they reprinted them in probably in equal numbers, which one do you think in long term would carry a more valuable price assessment?
The one with it on.
Yeah, I mean, but at what type of a multiplier?
Half?
Is it a 1.5?
So it's a $10 card, and then the other one's like a
$15 card.
Yeah.
Or it's tough to say if it's a $10 card versus $7.50. A lot of it also depends on just desirability. Are you collecting Robert because you're trying to bank on day trading him and selling off as it increases, or are you looking at it like, a White Sox collector, a Robert collector? If
the only reason I reach out to John is I like the oddity of it. And, so I like the story behind the card. Like, okay, they redid a card. They don't normally ever do that. Like, okay. Without telling you, without being prompted. PSA ban at Blowout Cards tweeted out this morning. Good morning at Collector Sloan, which is for Steve Sloan. We were notified yesterday that at PSA Card has closed our grading account for our retail store at a Fantastic store. Please contact Fish at blowoutcards.com. So PSA bans Blowout Cards from grading. Cartel Cards, our buddy Chris, who you probably know his daughter Zoe. She's a huge Gardy collector. Super nice family, awesome people. What does this mean for our cards submitted back in December and January that have yet to be returned? really good question. It's
Yikes.
August. It's August. Stalking PMS. Were you doing group submissions for customers? Because I've heard stories that accounts that have been used by PSA banned trimmers and launderers to launder their submissions have been terminated.
This just reeks of like two drug dealers on the street corner looking at each other like, I'm not going to do business with you. You stay on your side of the street. And it's like, you know.
I just think, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, we have heard of them banning certain people from having grading because of known allegations against them of altering cards in certain ways. And
Cleaning.
Oh, don't even get me started on that D-bag that was on the hobby hotline. I'd still like to talk to that guy.
I'm cleaning cards right now. I got a whole bunch of 1990 Donruss sitting in bleach in my bathtub. Am I doing it right?
What was the card you used to erase on?
Okay, so yeah, I once erased an entire set of 1988 Fleer.
But you were a child.
I was 9, and oh boy, I got caught big time by my dad when I sold it at a yard sale for like a 50 spot, and it was still unique, right? It's like, hey, I did.
You should have written card done by Ben on it. Ben Dub did the card.
At 9, I didn't know any better, right? I was like, hey, you take a pencil or, eraser, and there's a lot of those little lines. It takes a while to go through 662 cards, man.
How many erasers did you use, man?
It was me and like another kid named Jeff, some kid that I used to play video games with. We were bored one afternoon, and God, it probably took us a week to do it all.
Speaking of video games, really quick, I know James likes video games. I know Steph likes video games.
No.
Did you guys see the Lego NES thing? This guy tweeted out I guess it's a kit, but he built the NES. The Lego has a set where you can build an NES.
$229.99
out of Legos with a TV, and it like moves, and we can make Mario jump. And I'm like, dude,
Well,
and the cartridge goes in and down.
So in addition, the video that I did see, the guy didn't blow the cartridge. But 2, the sets comes with an additional add-on Mario that will actually sit on top and make noises as it rotates. But 3, after you finish building it completely, on the side, if you pull up the slide, it has the underworld level built on the inside of the brick. I'll pull up a picture.
That's awesome.
I have a friend who is heavily invested in those, and I'm a little scared for him.
I love Lego. I'm excited. There's some new sets that came out in August that I have put on my little wish list.
So, and with James here, this is probably the best time to bring this up, given that we're just now talking about Lego. A few years back, we went to a local thrift store here. We were looking to drop some stuff off. We figured, hey, why not? Let's go take a look. See if we can find some 1990 Donruss or something fun to flip through. And this shop apparently hadn't been rifled through recently because they had 2 unopened, still in wrapper, of the architecture sets. The like $199, $200 sets, unopened for $3. So I ended up selling one for $200, and I still have Falling Water downstairs that I built. Because my mom likes the Frank Lloyd Wright Falling Water.
You have Falling Water? Oh yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright's my man.
We pull the substructures apart and see the individual levels of the house. I'll have to get some pictures.
Yeah, I took art because our football counselor said, "Hey, take art. It's a good class for you football players." And I did well in the class, but I enjoyed it. And Frank Lloyd Wright, man, was like,
here we go. Share screen. Boop, doop, doop, boop. So here's kind of what they're talking about, where it comes to the controller, the individual, the cartridge, and the TV that rotates on the side here. And it goes through a little, essentially just a single flat piece that rotates, but it shows off the initial level. However, if you peel off this side here where the audio-video outputs are, it has even the hidden levels with the rising pits and the piece where you're supposed to run across the top built into that brick.
"Oh, that's so awesome!" Yeah,
which is a nice touch.
Yeah, and if you guys can watch that Lego show that was on Fox, I think it's on Netflix or Hulu.
I think
That
it's
is a
on Hulu, yeah.
binge-worthy watch.
It was actually entertaining, all things considered, and the one where without spoiling it, but where they had to build the bridge and they put weights on it to see what it would support. That was a phenomenal episode.
It could have supported all four of us, by the way. So,
spoiler alert.
yeah. Well, you haven't seen it now. Steph had a topic he wanted to talk about called consistency.
Sure, and I'm not talking about Grandpa or anything like that.
That Pro Juice.
Wanted to broach this one because on the eve of Topps Chrome dropping, one of the things I like looking at each year is, which colors are which border parallels. And it'd be nice to see, in that I've been taking some photos for Bayside of some of my rainbows, because you like seeing them, apparently. So I've been shooting some pictures, and it's a pain to look each year to see, okay, well, reds were 5 this year, but the next year they were 25, but the year prior to that they were 75. And I just kind of wanted to know, to you guys, what would it take, Panini, Upper Deck, Topps, whoever, to just have consistency, have green be 99, have blue be 75, have red be 25, have black be 10.
It'd be too easy.
It would be. You're assuming that they go back and remember what they did 2 months ago.
Well, that's like this year in Topps. And so in 2019, the advanced stats parallels were out of 150. This year, they're out of 300.
Out of 300, yeah. It sure would be nice if you're going to make this amount of parallels and every product's going to have them, if we saw consistency amongst the colors, because gold should always be out of 50, right?
Sure.
Red should always be out of 25 or low numbered out of 5, right? Black's out of
welcome back.
The 101. But yeah, it's just it's just one of the things that frustrate us. Because
I mean, I get Panini wanting to push the boundaries, especially with not necessarily colors, but like donut circles or fast break prisms, just different designs in the background, and that's kind of cool. But I just wish, like for Topps Chrome or some of the more basic prism, that the colors year to year would be the same.
Yeah.
The one that's really throwing me off this year with Topps Chrome Baseball is that the purples are numbered to 299, but the purple autos are to 250.
See, that's
Why?
stupid too.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and for somebody like myself, in my personal collection, I like consistency from year to year, right? If I'm going to chase the green parallel set of Topps Finest this year, I would like to do it next year as well. And when you move those numbers around to where one is out of 199, next year's out of 99, then next year's going to cost me considerably more. Granted, it also depends on the checklist count and players. Obviously, this year I'm spending more because of who's included with Puck and Luzardo. But again, it's just that consistency year over year. It allows us a better opportunity as player collectors and as team collectors to budget. Oh, Topps Chrome's coming out.
I mean, I think the thing you can, they're willing to do that with the lower numbered stuff, but or with the higher numbered stuff. But I think you have to ask, hey, would Topps really make a red refractor from Chrome number to 100 or something? Would you really make a drastic change like that? I think Panini messed up with Prism a couple years back when they did a gold vinyl set, I believe for baseball and for football, and everybody sees gold vinyl super fractor like 1 of 1, and those were numbered out of 5. I think they might even still be doing it, but it's just if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to take your super fractor and now make it a /5, don't do it with any color.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have Big League Baseball last year, that their first parallel set was blue.
Mm-hmm.
This year it was orange. And it's what the hell is that kind of crap? Yeah, it's
But if they're only doing one parallel, then okay, maybe change it every year.
Well, they I suppose. I mean, now we're just maybe nitpicking because.
But the orange does pop. Let me tell you that those orange look crazy.
They are pretty nice.
But the blue were beautiful last year.
Yeah.
I thought.
Sure were.
But yeah, you
And
know,
the red's the year prior.
and then you could argue, well, you got blue, and that works really well with teams that have blue, and you know, orange would look fantastic if you're a Giants fan or an Orioles fan. Not so much if you're an A's fan, or you know. So a lot of it's just semantics and what we choose. But yeah, the consistency would be nice on some of this stuff year over year, just so we know going into it. Especially if hey, what if you're just breaking? It's nice to know too. Hey, I pulled a gold out of 50.
Like, they have the gold wave and then the gold, and so it's like your daddy's gold. You're in Bowman, it's your daddy's gold or your gold.
Yeah,
the gold wave is the new one. I love how Dan Anderson goes, "It's your daddy's gold. It's out of 10," or it means something. So it kind of leads into this next topic. Mark DelFranco put out he has like unwritten rules for collecting, like in the hobby. What are some unwritten rules for card collecting? Our buddy Booby Main, Robbie T 86 on Twitter said, "Have fun and don't worry about what others are doing." Hands down, awesome. Do what you want. Collect the way you want. Philly Puck fan James says, "Don't put the names of hot players in your listing when they're not on the card. No one is searching for Tony Kukoc's rookie, Michael Jordan's teammate, Last Dance Hall of Fame." I agree. Or everything has Mike Trout. At Mike _McKenna, do not ship PWE when I paid $3 for a bubble mailer.
Amen.
At KBO Collections, you haven't lived until you've opened a pack in your car. Did that today.
Matter of fact, I opened the Ruth in the car.
Wow.
It was a 2000 Chrysler Sebring drop top. And yes, I had the top down.
Hey,
topless.
This is a family show.
At fam _den, one, don't list something. Don't list something as quote non-auto. Don't mark your no-name prospect as Acuna or Soto, Harper, Trout, or Tatis.
Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah. Always a penny sleeve before a top loader, and for no Scotch tape. Matthew with a bunch of numbers. The number one unwritten rule to any great collection: never tell your significant other what you really paid.
Hey, Angela.
Yeah.
Only if you hit something really big, and you can say,
"My wife knows what I paid for the Haniger Superfractor."
That's a pretty big purchase, though. We're refinancing the house, and we're getting a nice chunk back. And I go, "So how much of this is for cards?" And she said, "If you spend a dime on it, you're dead." And so I said, "Okay."
Hasn't hurt yet.
Dime on it.
I tried that just last night. We got a little bit more money back than we had anticipated, and I said, "Listen, there's a great deal on a 1952," and she's like, "No." Said,
all I have to say is that,
and she goes,
"I'm gonna."
Yeah, she goes, "If it rhymes with Schmantle, the answer is no." And I'm like, "Well, okay, honey." I guess
the company we dealt with this thing was super easy. I was like, "Really? This is all okay?"
Yeah.
So, and I was just happy we did not have to have the house appraised. So that was even a better part.
We did, and it was funny because my appraiser's like, "Oh, you got a lot of sports memorabilia around the house. That's interesting." And he's like, "My brother used to play for the NFL in the 80s." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, that's cool." He's like, "Yeah, he was a New York Jet." And I'm like, "Oh, that's neat." And we'd talk a little more. I was like, "What position you play?" He goes, "Quarterback." And I'm like,
Okay,
we're in the greater Sacramento area. So I'm like, "Your brother's Ken O'Brien." He goes, "Yeah." Because I don't usually tell people that. And here I ratted him out. But
He also could have been Troy Taylor, former Folsom High coach and now Sac State head coach, because he played for the Jets for a couple of years.
yeah, so it's kind of
cool.
neat. But yeah,
Kenny O'Brien's a good dude.
The refinance process is super simple. They just they run your credit, and I mean we had to have the appraisal, but I mean he called the next day, the following day he was out here, the next day it was back, and
yeah, I'm like, sweet. Anyway, so I was dreaming of all the cards I could buy, and then my wife said she was going to murder me, so I was like, figuring I'd kind of like to live.
I have to say that we did agree that I'm if there's a 2021 national, we do have some money coming out that's going to be set aside
Well,
to be able
Paw
to
the
get
Beaver,
there.
of course.
Oh,
2021.
Beaver. We've
No,
been
I
having.
mean-
hold it. Oh, wait.
That one obviously being because of the Ranger Padre incident. I think if I were to tack one to this, I would say if you're trying to sell something, include front and back images.
Especially if it's numbered on the back.
I get if you're going to have one huge listing with an entire set break, but some people actually care about what the back looks like, or they want to see minor variations that they're trying to look for, or just condition. Does it have paper loss? I saw a gorgeous Walter Johnson that had some front chipping, T206. No way was I paying $1,000 for it, but the back looked pretty nice. And he does himself no justice by displaying it how they do.
I think one of the biggest things we all can agree on outside of no tape is listing manipulation. I know
Sure.
that there was a couple that Tim read through that spoke to that. But all the crap we see on a listing, just list your card. It's a 2020 Topps Chrome,
Hey,
whatever, number this is the team the guy plays for, and move on. We don't need your opinion on whether the guy's a potential Hall of Famer, what it's going to grade, whether it's a hot card. Anyway,
so
But how
speaking
will I
of
know
which,
it's a potential 10?
you don't.
you remember the card
Don't.
that? Remember how we had that one where the in the line? It's the new thing is it says invest,
Yes.
right? I have a confession to make. I bought a card this week, and invest was in the header, but that's not the reason I bought it. It's a 2020 Topps Chrome Auto of Logan Webb, a rookie pitcher for the Giants. The guy had it for like $6, shipped, and I was like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I, but it says, hot rookie auto invest, and he had the best price on eBay. So I was like, I'm not gonna just not buy it because it says invest on it, but I gotta come forward and say, yeah, I bought one that said invest in the header. So
But you're not investing in it, are you?
no, it's going to my Giants. I always collect all the rookie autos from Topps Chrome for the Giants and Royals, except for
Sure.
this year, Josh Stammet for the Royals. I've
Yeah.
not seen a base auto. They've all been parallels.
You have to invest. It said you have to.
Well, I invested
Okay.
$6 and some time into it, so there it is.
I
Plus, he's
Yeah.
from Rockland. He went to Rockland High. I didn't know that. I was all excited.
That's cool. He got lit up the other day against the
Yeah,
A's.
that's the game I watched. And the same day I bought the card. It's like, so we've held on to this next question for a while from our buddy Ken Kensley Bean on Twitter, Super Collector. He said, "Hobby question: What do you consider a player? What do you consider a player super collector? What rules? What do you have to be What do you have to do to be considered one?" And I thought it was perfect that we waited so long, having James on tonight in his Haniger rundown of Chrome and Ben's obsession with some McGuire and some A stuff. And, he's kind of a team super collector and Steph the same way. And I love my George Bretts. And I've been working on my binders for Brett and Posey lately. So it's a good question. I like it. It's kind of an evergreen thing. So James, I'm going to give you a first crack. Like, what do you have to do to be considered a super player collector or player super collector? What rules or cards do you have to be included in that?
See, I don't think there's any specific rules in terms of what you have to have. I think it's more of a mindset. Like, if there's somebody like, I like PJ Washington, right? But I'm not trying to get every PJ Washington card.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mitch Haniger, and I have the majority of his 2017 rookie cards. Like, I have all of his key rookie cards. But I don't do his 2012 stuff because he was with the Brewers. So I only do Mariners, and I'm going for specific sets. Like, I collect red refractors of Haniger and his All-Star Game stuff. So I have a lot of that stuff. I'm not going for everything. Does that not make me a super collector? Like, I have a couple of his super fractors. Does that like, you can get into all these semantics about what you consider to be a super or a super collector, but I really think that it's more of a frame of mind. Like, are you looking for his cards every day on multiple sources? Like, do you have a set plan? Like, do you have things that, like, do you have small, like, in collections that other people wouldn't think about? Like, I have, Haniger on my wall up there. Like, I have an All-Star Game patch. I have several of his All-Star Game nameplates. Like, to me, it's cool that I have that kind of shrine to his All-Star appearance. So I think it really just comes down to a mindset. Like, is that person actively searching out this player? Do they have hundred? I would say the only thing, if there's one, it's like they have to have hundreds of cards. Like, you can't just have one superfractor. Like the guy who hits a Luis Robert superfractor out of 2020 Chrome, that's not a super collector.
Well, it could turn him into one though.
Right, it could. But I think, like, at the very least, you have to have 100 cards or a couple hundred cards. You know, you have to be in it. And I think after a long time, you know, if you've just been doing it for a couple of years, or if it's a new player and you have all their stuff, like, I think it's more of a mentality thing than it is a set requirement thing.
So I'll tack on one all along the same lines of what James is saying. That a good example would be, hey, here's a set that came out last year. You're chasing this because you're a fan of team here. I don't know if you have them, but if you flip through them and you see that not only A, do you have it, but B, that's my player, that's my team, I want it again. That kind of falls more into that super collector where you don't just need one. You want to have more than one, or all, or multiples of a certain color, or some of those guys that try to chase down all 30 of the team logo patch off the hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
Where they're like numbered to 20.
I have 4 of Haniger's 10 Topps Chrome red refractors.
Exactly.
Now I have a question. Do you have any of his Diamondback rookie cards?
I have a handful, like, not any super, like, expensive ones. I had a red refractor at one point of his 2012, but it just, for me, that didn't fit my PC of him.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to just focus on 2017.
Yeah, no, definitely. Ben, what do you think?
As a team super collector, a McGuire A's super collector, I think that's extremely important. I don't PC his Cardinals stuff, so I'm not a McGuire super collector. I'm a McGuire A's super. I think if you have 50% or more of this and you're actively pursuing it, like James said, I'm on eBay multiple times a day searching multiple guys. If I see an Ace card I don't have, my first thought is I want it, I need it, can I afford it? And then I kind of take a step back and go, do I really need this? Does it fit into what I'm working on within the confines? I have to have every base and every insert dating back to 1909. I'm 80+% right now. So yeah, team super collector, right? Anything that comes out moving forward. We talked about archives earlier. I need the master team set, but do I need all of the full body variations and minis? Because those are getting expensive. They're a one-off. They move like the acetate from flagship and the minis, and they're great to have, but at some point your budget has to step in and say, I'm aware that they exist, but I don't have to have them. I do think there's one big thing that, for me, I mean, a lot of it's subjective, a lot of it's semantics, a lot of it's your mindset.
Sure.
What do you consider yourself? But here's what I think. I pulled a Dylan Cease card. Oh, our buddy John P. Does he have it? Does he want it? Mark Burley. Okay, Dan, Korean Cardboard. Does he want it? Right? Haniger, James, Brett, Puckett, guys. Our fellow collectors. What do they consider us? If an Ace card is pulled, do they think of me before they think of other people? Granted, not everybody knows everybody. We know that, right? The hobby's much bigger than the 4 of us talking heads. But as a whole, if you're accepted as that's my guy, that whenever I pull a player or a team card, and I think that person might want it or need it, or at the very least might know where to, other players, hey, I might not. I mean, George Brett, Tim's the guy, but also Waxtopia. There are other people that also collect Brett.
Nope.
And so I think that's important too. But at the end of the day, what do you consider yourself? Are you actively trying to get anything and everything of a certain player or a team? Because if you're just a niche within it, I just want Haniger's 2017 Rainbow, and that's it. I'm not going to grab everything that he ever has with the Seattle Mariners. If he moves on to another team, and now he's in Cincinnati Red. I was a Cespedes super collector as an A, but the second he goes to Boston, I'm done. I have no desire to collect that. I have maybe a dozen cards that don't belong in the A's PC.
Yeah. Well,
what about outside of cards?
Pardon me?
I said, what about outside of just cards? As I'm showing now.
Well, and that could be too, yeah.
Player issue jersey for Ryan Eads.
And then I guess you could say that too, right? I'm a McGuire A super collector in the trading card only. I don't need all of his bobbleheads and coins and all the, I don't need a lunchbox, of Saved by the Bell to say I'm a Saved by the Bell fan.
Yeah, I had a Hanager game used rookie jersey, and it just didn't fit. What I was trying to do. I had it on my wall for a little while, but it just doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. So I sold it.
I'm not a huge mem guy. I do have an autograph of George Brett Bath that my brother-in-law bought me for Christmas, which is legit. And I have all of my graded Brett's, all of his flagship graded cards across the top all over it. So that's my thing. I love it. No, I think it really, James hit it on the head. It's like, how active are you collecting this person, this player, this team? What do you go about to do that? Since I got back in the hobby, I was like, I am a George Brett collector, and I was like, I want to collect every Brett possible. So over time, at multiple times, I've tried to make a complete checklist of all of his cards, pulling from sources like Trading Card Database and Baseball Cardpedia. And it got to the point where it's like, I got there during quarantine with Brett, Posey, and Garrett Hampson, which are my three guys. And I'm lucky enough that Brett only played for the Royals, and Posey's only played for the Giants, and Hampson right now only for the Rockies, and he's new. And so his is a lot easier to come across, but there's just so many more parallels and things to collect.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a really good job. Like right now, I have all of the Heritage run, the Gypsy Queen, except for the one. I'm not collecting any one of ones actively. If they come across my board, awesome. I'm not actively collecting any autographs or mem cards unless they come, because I was like, I like the base cards and the parallels and that kind of stuff. I'm not collecting the oversized cards unless I run into them, right? So it's just regular size base cards, or food issue, those kind of things where like Brett had a lot of them. And so I got these checklists going, and Brett has, and I paged up binders for this. I had a 5 or 6 inch binder and a 2-inch binder. And the 2-inch binder was all of Brett's cards from his playing days for 20 years. That was 83 pages. The other 270 some odd pages were for everything after he retired, which I couldn't believe. Posey's got more cards, the way I described him, under 5, numbered down to 5 and no autos and mem and all that stuff, than George Brett does currently. And he's only has cards from 2008. I have most of the Hampson stuff. There's a few things I'm missing here and there, but I actively look for those cards on a daily basis on 3 or 4 different sites, and I'm going through and cataloging them all. And I think that makes me a pretty big super collector of those players. I don't think a lot of other people are actively collecting Garrett Hampson, which is awesome for me. Like I have about almost 700 now of his base rookie from Series 1 of 2019 Topps, and it's just because I find him at such a good price. And I think you need to define it for your own rules and how you want to do it, but it's just actively collecting them, having some kind of an idea what you need, or if you can look at a card and say, I have that card or I need that card pretty quickly, even if it's an oddball one. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good with Brett that way. And so that would consider yourself there. My George Brett collection is not complete. It will probably never be complete because of the years of the early 2000s from Leaf from Fleer and Upper Deck, who just printed like all kinds of crap. So really, I'm really only focusing right now on Brett from his playing days until 95, because he had a few like straggling salute cards up until 95. And then 2000 and he didn't have cards in like 10 and 11 very much. It was really 12 where he started having cards again, and that's when I came back in. So I'm really working on those. But anything in between there, I just at this point don't care. If I find them, I find them. Awesome. But there's just so much just stuff. They're all repetitive and they all look very similar, and there's not a difference in them. So,
you can only have so many pictures of the same guy, especially in modern stuff where it's so repetitive.
Yeah. No, I am having fun building Hampson's Prism Parallel rookie set.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it really does come down to what you want to collect and how you choose to collect and what you consider yourself. There's no right or wrong answer here, but yeah, we mentioned it. You can't have a handful of these cards, and just like the other day on Facebook, somebody's like, I'm collecting Robert Poston cards. I'm like, dude, this guy's 17. Odds of him making the majors, odds of him being you're not collecting him, you're speculating on him.
Yeah.
You're not,
unless you have some like like right there, like you're right. And the reason I collect,
Yeah,
and so you have a personal connection
Yeah.
with this guy, Steph, right? And
Sure.
you also played for your team. I hate the Colorado Rockies, but the reason I like Garrett Hampson, I have a really good friend. That's his little cousin, and he's been talking about him for forever playing baseball. And so when he had cards, I was like, sweet, I got into it. And then he actually made the majors and plays, and it's like that's
It's
super
cool.
cool. And yeah, and that's the only reason I
played high
collect
school
them.
ball with Nick Johnson.
And I always find Nick Johnson cards, and I give them to Ben.
You know, it's like, you know, I collect Adrian Morel. I don't super collect him, but yeah. And Tim's like, I don't know why the hell you'd want these Nick Johnson and Adrian Morel cards, but I found some. Here you go.
Yeah,
And
all the time.
yeah, you know, and honestly, it wouldn't be that hard to super collect either of those guys, just
No.
because the era they played in and the fact that they.
But it's
there was-
fun. It's fun when you have a guy, you know, that's known but not super popular, or kind of under the radar or whatever, and you collect him for certain. I love that. Like when you get to the guy and you're like, you know, making a trade and you're like, who do you collect? He's like, well, I collect Mantle, Trout, Zion, Jaw, Luca, Pat Mahomes, and I only collect their rookies, bro.
Acuna and Trout.
And autographs, bro. That's all. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't. You know, you don't. You might have a bunch of it, but you're not a collector. Like, just one of those things. Like, you can collect one of them pretty hard. Like, I know Mike McKenna's a big time Mike Trout guy,
Mhm.
like big time Mike, and I know that he's been on collecting Trout forever, and he's an Angels fan, so that makes sense. Like, he was an Angel, so he had the automatic in to like the guy.
Well, it's like when I put a page of John Matuzak cards in my binder because he played Sloth in the Goonies and being a huge Goonies fan. It's like, who doesn't want them? You know how much it costs to grab those 7 cards? Like $4, right? Like,
I think I have the complete run of Don Calhoun football cards from the late 70s, early 80s. He was a running back for the Patriots, and my grandpa coached him in high school, and he was my garbage man when I was a kid, and I got
Nice.
to talk to him all the time. And so I'm like,
you know, I'm not a big ACO fan, but we have a lot of ACO cards of Chuck Connors, you know, the old rifleman. You know, he played baseball, you know, back in the early 50s, I think, in the Dodgers organization. And, you know, but he doesn't have really anything other than some old Pacific cards that were, you know, not licensed, but, you know, real cards. But again, I got personal connection because, you know, he told my parents to go home and get busy back in 78, and 9 months later, this guy popped out. You know,
I'll take
I-
it after that.
you blame it on the rifleman.
I only collect Fernando Tatis cards.
Oh, I do too.
Senior,
I,
right?
You know, when I
And Jason
started,
Dominguez.
I started collecting Tatis about 4 days ago. So I would say, yeah, I'm a super collector nowadays.
I collect his dad. Guys, any final thoughts before we head out tonight? It's been almost 2 hours. A great show. James hanging out with us. Another West Coast part of the show. I love it. Adding more West Coast people. And
Need more Midwest beer. No,
we have so many in the Midwest. Get out of here.
when's the last time
Tired
one's
of those
been on?
guys.
No, James, always fun to talk. If you're in the area, you'll have to let us know. Me and Rich and everyone else will take you out to lunch again, maybe a different barbecue place.
You won't even remember. Apparently.
I miss. Yeah, I totally spaced. Like that whole weekend was such a blur to me. Like I hit that card 10:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, and then I'm sitting at an airport at 6 a.m. Flight booked, hotel booked, car booked. Yeah, that whole thing was just a giant blur to me.
It sounded like my trip to the National last year. That all happened like in 20 minutes. I was like, Steph,
Yeah.
you know,
That too.
How did that guy in the end?
But I miss Texas. The one thing is I've never really had time to like explore down there and just drive. I've been down there a couple times, once to grade the Zion, and I was down there for 2 days to buy a Dodge Challenger and have it sent back up here. So I've never had a proper like trip where I've got to spend time in Texas. So that's
Sure.
on my bucket list.
I love it. Well, Ben, Steph, any final words before we head out tonight?
Do not fall in the water in San Antonio.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
No, it is great. Thanks for having me, guys. I love doing this. It's been fun on my YouTube journey, just watching that grow. And I was on Cardi C's, channel last week doing an interview. Now I get to do this one. Bowman 1951 wants to have me. I don't know why I keep not just setting something up with him. So it's been really fun. I love coming on these shows, just shooting the breeze with some of my favorite people in the hobby. But
That's awesome.
I'm excited to boot up Microsoft Flight Simulator and keep checking out the area.
Nice. Well, guys, remember we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
And Central.
Watch. Make sure you watch the Hobby Hotline this Saturday and on Monday. Call in with any questions, comments. We appreciate the support there. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. We love that. Follow us on Twitter about the cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow stuff at Junkwax Swims. You always follow James at Run Good Life. You can follow me at Big Shep 79. And please share your hobby stories, great polls. Send your questions our way, and we will see you all next week.
See you then.